Jesus girl. Jesus girl. Hey, it's the diary of a Jesus girl. Let the wings of the Spirit of the Lord just swirl. You are in it, but you know you're not a part of this world. And for the swine, you should never cast your pearl. Yes, it's just the diary of a Jesus girl. The diary of a Jesus girl. Welcome to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of the committed Christian woman. This podcast will inspire you to love Jesus and impact lives like Jesus. And now it's time for your host, Crystal Day, award-winning author, speaker, and Christian coach.
All right, so welcome to another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of committed Christian people. But this week on the podcast, we will be having a couple up series. So I've been getting a lot of requests regarding couple up, because persons are just enjoying hearing both perspectives, the male and the female. Sometimes it seems like, we're always asking the woman about, the wife and the wife this, but we're happy that we are able to provide a balance here on the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. So this week, I don't know if you guys remember, but if you haven't, last year around this time, we interviewed Deidre, my friend Deidre, and two of my other friends. We had what we call Let the Single Woman Talk, and that was a post that was inspired by Deidre on her WhatsApp that said, "Lord, you can't change my last name," right? And I found it was just so hilarious, but it was also just timely, because this is a conversation a lot of us like to, we don't want to admit, but it is a desire for our heart, so many of us, to get married, and then you're like, Jesus, like, where the man them there, like them there in a church, I don't know what for do. So it was really a candid conversation, and I am going to leave it in the show notes for you to go back and listen. But 1 year later, Deidre last name is changed. Yes, right? So even in COVID, when, listen, why I like the story? Because it just reminds us of God's sovereignty. Even when COVID, when we lock up in our house, in Jamaica, we literally probably could go out for like more than 4 months, we barely, and even now, as it is in June 2021, we are still restricted, we're still on the curfew, every weekend, every day. So for the chances of us finding husband before COVID, it seems slim, because you go to church and you see no man, and you're like, but then when COVID happened, me, I say, I eat this, and me and my daughter alone in the house, what happen? Should we pay, them? I never realized I saw the dating app them there. You have to buy, man, like, them expensive. I'm like, $50 for a man? Like, no, don't judge me, but we'll talk about that price. I'm like, so, Deidre, and her husband, the Arthana, I got it right, I did.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right, but I call him D for the rest of it, because I won't, I just call him D for the rest of it. So he is here, and the both of them are going to share their story with us. I want you to say welcome again to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast to the both of you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we're going to start with D, because we know on the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, we like to hear the conversion story. That's how everybody that comes on starts. How did you come to Christ? So, Mr. Burrell, tell us, what your conversion was like in Christ.
Well, you want the first or the second?
I feel like most of us as a first, second, sometimes even a third, right? But, try to, just share as you're led.
So basically, I grew up in a Christian home. So the influence was there. We used to go to church all the time. And then just one day, on my 8th birthday, actually, I was at church, and the pastor said, if you're not a Christian, you should come to the altar. So I got up and I went. And while I was there, I surrendered in my own little way, as an 8-year-old can, to the best of his ability. And I said, Mommy, you know what I want for my birthday present? I want to get baptized. And she said in her mind, she was thinking to herself, no, he's not ready. He doesn't know what he's doing. But then the Holy Spirit convicted her because I am what you call like a Samuel child that like she and my father were trying to conceive for a long time and they couldn't, and they pray and fast and God give her a baby. And, the Holy Spirit reminded her that I don't belong to her. So she agreed to let me get baptized and whatever. So that was the initial introduction to my relationship with Jesus. And then, the teenage years come around and introduced to the wonderful world of girls. And I'm just like, they're amazing. Girls, it's just girls, And that was really my vice. I was never, I'm a troublemaker. I give a lot of trouble. But I never did, drugs or anything like that. Just do my schoolwork and just do like girls. That's all. So fast forward a couple of years, I'd say 19, I migrated to the US. When I migrated here, that's when I started doing music, and then I got onto this radio station, and everybody thought I was like this major artist. Girls are calling, groupies and whatever. And, I'm thinking, all right, this is the direction I'm gonna go in. And my mom came home from church, and she's like, God has a message for you. So I'm like, what am I saying? So she said, she opened the Bible and she said, read it for yourself. And it was Joshua chapter 24. Joshua 1, chapter 24, choose ye this day who you will serve. So for some reason, it weighed heavily on me. And I was like, okay, but no, sir. All right, I'm going to have to wrap up this thing soon. Because when you have the call of God in your life, even though you are away from him, you know that at some point you have to return. So I'm like, all right, my number just get called. I'm going to have to wrap it up. But I wasn't sure how soon. So that was a Saturday night. And then the Sunday, the next day, my pastor just happened to preach from the exact same verse. So even before the altar call, like once him draw that, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm a surrender. I knew right then and there, say, as soon as the altar call make, I'm gonna be there. So that was it. I surrendered my life to the Lord. That was probably 7 months after me coming to the States. My brethren, them, I say, yo, dude, you do it backwards. Most people left Jamaica Christian, and when them go foreign, them broke way. You do the opposite. But, it was just my time. So that's pretty much how I rededicated my life to the Lord. I got baptized over and just been, just going through it with Jesus ever since.
All right, thank you. And you are a nurse. So I'm going to just ask you to tell us a little bit about your experience as a male nurse. And how did you get into nursing? So you are the second male nurse that is on the podcast, because my friend Deidre-Ann was on before. So yes, so go ahead.
Oh, interesting. I had that weird look because so Darren is actually like an alias, like a pet name of mine. So that's kind of but I don't know. You know what So basically, I got into nursing. I'll give you the short version. A friend of mine, her mom was sick, terminally ill. And she was actually on hospice, and we went there, and I saw how the nurses took care of her, and it really inspired me. So I started looking into it, and I'm like, stable industry, and 3-day work week. What could go wrong? And I went into it, but it's it's been challenging. Nursing is very challenging, and then you have certain unique challenges that you face as a male nurse. Sometimes you have women that are not comfortable with you. Sometimes I'm not comfortable around them based on the fact that I'm a man. And there are certain things that you have to do. Sometimes you have to see them undressed, and it's just different things that are just a little off-putting because opposite sex. But whatever. I've been doing it for 3 years now, and now I'm a dialysis nurse. I've been doing that for a while, and this is what I enjoy doing. So that's what I'm doing right now, dialysis nurse.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into our couple up. So I don't know which one of you want to start. How did you meet? I'm sure that's probably the question that most of you get all the time. So how did you meet?
All right. So Hobby asked me to explain how we met.
Explain yourself. How you got yourself into this mess?
All right. So in 2016, I was working at an event. The event that I was working at, Dee happened to be performing at the same event. We were both in our different relationships at the time. I liked his music. It wasn't anything more than just liking the music. So I liked the music. I started following him on social media. And then he followed me back. So we're social media friends. We never interacted or anything. Maybe a couple likes on a post here and there, but nothing more than that. And then in December of 2019, he sent me a DM. And in the DM, he formally introduced himself. And the conversation just flowed. Like, it was like we were friends for a long time. So it was our first time talking, even though we're friends on social media for like 3 years. It was our first time interacting, and the conversation just flowed. It just flowed naturally. And after that, it just migrated to like WhatsApp and, the video calls, everything. And then it just transitioned from there.
Transcended.
All right, so make we backtrack a little. Deidre, just because we're not quite sure, some people had gotten a chance to listen to the previous podcast. Tell us about your single journey. As a single Christian woman, just talk to us. Just give nobody go on cute now. Just tell us and give us the spill the tea. What was singleness like for you? So they can get a better idea of,
Yeah, the single Christian single mom life was difficult. I mean, not to say that I wasn't dating, but the pickings were slim. Those who I saw, those who I interacted with, when you can just tell, say, this not going to go anywhere, or not going to go anywhere long term, or just not going to go in the direction that you hope for ideally. But it's just, something you can just do for pass the time, That's just how it was for me. In 2019, especially, I'd mentioned it elsewhere, like there were at least 5 different persons who I was set up with, and none of them worked out. Like God just shut those doors completely. So it frustrated me. I reached the point where I said, I don't want nobody set me up with nobody else. Like if God no make the man drop from sky, I don't want it. I mean? I was so frustrated because I felt like I was getting my hopes up. It go when you meet somebody and all of a sudden you start think a bag of things, name change and, everything happily ever after. And I was being stood up. I wasn't being called back. I was like, so what am I do? And it really frustrated me. I was in church, and instead of me listening to the pastor, I look at the doors to see if nobody will go walk in, we look good, we could have, maybe is he the one kind of thing. And I was so distracted And it really frustrated me because I'm saying, well, I'm getting older, my daughter is there, I'd really want her to have a father figure around. And, I wanted that for us, but it just felt like it wasn't happening. And every year my prayer, I say, Lord, when the husband come, but it just felt like, it almost felt like I was being teased. Like at one point I kind of got mad at God. I'm like, why am I being introduced to the people if it's not going to go anywhere? Better I'm just nobody get introduced to anybody. So I was so frustrated. I was frustrated with men, frustrated with God, frustrated with just everything. Come I said, tree now growing on my face, girl look good. So what go on for the man's them. So that knows my story. Hold on.
This one, I'd say when it take long for the man. If you remember, so when they drop from sky, take a while for them reach ground. You know what I'm saying? So my formally accept your endorsement. Some come from heaven.
So yeah, but I mean, it was really frustrating because I'm saying, yeah, I thought I was a good catch, and it just seemed like nothing was working out. It just felt like every year it was the same thing, but a bunch of time wasters. And sometimes I was guilty of entertaining people because, just for the sake of it. Either because I'm lonely, either because, I just want to go somewhere for do something, whatever the case is, all for the wrong reasons. But it's almost like I was in a place of desperation. So I at one point I kind of felt like I wanted to settle, but there was really just that thing inside of me was saying, no, you can't settle. I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to live the rest of my life regretting any kind of major decision like marriage, so just to kind of tough it out, for a little bit.
Listen, my G, I understand. So, Mr. D, talk to us, because so I heard he spoke on a YouTube channel and he said, like he was looking and he didn't see, there are Christian women around, but it didn't seem very, I guess, appealing, or I don't know. And I don't think he didn't mean physically, but he wasn't impressed. So I want you to talk to us about your single journey. Where were you before you got married to Deidre? But also, there is the idea of there are tons of Christian women out there. So you should have had too many choices and just probably said, Jesus, you pick. So talk to us. I'm more be real and like, listen, the women them were there. Listen.
All right. Well, so my single journey. I've dated. I've always dated. I've had the opportunity to date some great people. I was also married before. So I met someone and it was a long distance relationship. And let's just say that I was not at a place where I was mature enough to make good decisions. Like I made some naive decisions and I used to chalk them up to being right. Let me just, you said be real, but put it like this. Don't rescue people. I say, like, if you see people in a them situation, don't try to rescue nobody, don't try to be a hero. Because, I grew up hearing this with the stigma that there's no good men out there. So on a subconscious level, I was trying to prove that good men are out there, good men exist. So I wouldn't say it was on a conscious level that I would choose women that needed to be rescued. But sometimes I was, and I would go into situations trying to help people. But the problem is you cannot assume that somebody wants to be helped just because you want to help them. So I went into a situation and it went south. So I got a divorce, and when the divorce was finalized and I was looking around, it was just like the whole landscape has changed. And this is like a new generation of Christian women I'm seeing, like these modern Christian women, you know. By the way, based off of the marriage, I had written off long distance relationships, and I also wrote off single moms. I say anything will look like the ex, don't. I'm not. You know. So, but the women that I was seeing, they were attractive. The women them look good, but them just never ready. You know what I'm saying? You know, like you see a fruit on a tree, it look like you can pick it. You pick it and you taste it, it's not ready. It's just not ready. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've dated Christian women that when it come down to it, you find out, say, them a struggle with weed smoking. Some of them are struggle with same-sex addiction. Some of them just not ready for like work with a man. They're not ready to be cooperative. Them still want to do them own thing. Some of them still upon some young girl hype life. Them don't want to like settle down and like put your resources together, start a family, get house and them stuff. Them just want travel and, you know, not that there's anything wrong with travel, but them priorities not there. You know, you meet women and, you know, you see certain red flags that you would ask them, hey, what happened with, you know, the relationship you were in? Oh, it just didn't work out. You know, and they couldn't tell you what was going on. I just saw not a lot of accountability. People weren't owning up to what they did. You know, so I was just like, man, I don't know. I really don't know, you know. So it was very discouraging for me. And there was a time when I said, you know what, I probably won't remarry and I'm going to have to make peace with that, you know. So I started focusing on myself, doing things that I enjoy doing, you know, working out, you know, doing, you know, do my little traveling here and there and whatever, and just enjoy life, you know. So that's what I was doing. But then I started noticing this one because she, as mother said, she got back on her purpose, because we were friends on Facebook and Instagram, and we never noticed her until she started posting her little mini blogs. And I read them and I say, yo, the girl that sound like so she mature. You know, she sound like so she
here's the funny thing. So I felt a prompting to start blogging, or like to just be more intentional about blogging and, you know, just be more transparent.
About a month before.
Yeah. So I started doing that like November 1 or November 2 or something like that of 2019. And it was December or maybe November, whichever. So I don't know when exactly he noticed me, but it was December same year.
Probably I noticed you probably I see you posting from like November. Because I'm not going to see one good post from me and them in your DMs, you know what I'm saying? So there had to be like a consistent pattern, you know, how I say, the girl sound like she have her head on her body, you know what I say? And I think a good point to highlight right here is when you do what you're supposed to do.
When you're operating in your purpose.
Right. You know what I say? I think I think that's what people should focus on when you're single. Is that there's a scripture where say, yo, when you're single, it's good because you can work for the Lord. You know, and that's the time when you're supposed to go hard and not do your thing, because and don't do it the other way around where you focus on relationships. Like a lot of biblical principles and philosophies sound backwards. You know what I say? So it's like if you want marriage or relationships, don't run after marriage and relationships. Seek ye first the kingdom, which sound backwards. It sound like if you want marriage,
go for it.
Go get man. But no, if I say go the other way and go towards the kingdom. Seek the kingdom, and then all these things shall be added. So I find that when I analyze the situation, I realize that she got back on her purpose, what she, you know, believe God is inspiring her to do. And that's what caught my attention, because I had gotten to a place where I was seeing pretty women everywhere, but there's no substance behind it. And it was such a turn off. So for say her posting stuff, I'm gonna read her stuff, then I'm gonna say the girl deep. And then now on the plus side was that when I look on the comments now, I'm gonna see how she interact with her friends. And then when I see so she down to earth, you know. So I'm gonna say, all right, cool, she can do both. You know, she can be, you know, reflective, she can be, you know, profound, and then at the same time she can be down to earth. And I'm like, that's good because you need balance. I can't deal with somebody with just a whole of reasoning every waking minute of the day. We need somebody where we can talk about something with and somebody where we can talk about nothing with, you know. So me look upon that and I say, okay. So then, you know, after a while, we just say, yo, all right, you know what, let me make a formal introduction. So that's how I'm slide into our DMs, and as them said, the rest is history.
Yeah, when he reached out to me initially, it wasn't like, well, to me it never come off as flirting. It just he actually came on with the intention of promoting his album, or under the guise of promoting his album.
No. It was both. I mean, it was just no, but yeah, because I did just complete an album and whatever and things. So I say, you know, she seems from her blog, she's a wordplay person. She you know, she have a way with words, and that's how I am with my music too. So I figured she would appreciate it. But at the same time, I believe I was very direct in my approach. You know, I'm gonna come through, I'm gonna say, yo, you know, let's no longer be strangers. And then we'll just start communicate, and then it was eventually let's no longer be friends. You know? So yeah, man, I think that's
yeah. And just to piggyback off what you were saying about purpose, like that is what drew my attention to you, or that is what made me notice you, because you were operating in your purpose by performing at that concert. I happened to be there working or volunteering, and that is what made me notice you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So me in my purpose, and that's how you notice me. And then when you got in your purpose, that's why I noticed you. That's pretty cool. Yeah, because when she told me that we were in the same room in 2016, that was crazy to me, because I'm like, wow, because I didn't even see her.
Yeah.
You know?
But you still never see me 3 years after on social media. Like you see, like you see somebody, but you don't see them.
Yeah. So, all right. So, DJ, we're gonna go back to you. So, as you mentioned, you know, I mean, the truth is the pool, as we said, it's COVID. It seemed like, okay, this is not going to happen. Once this gentleman introduced himself, tell us, for you, what was that process of discerning that, you know what, this could be God's will for my life? And especially, I mean, to many would have seemed like, whoa, she married very quickly. You know, in less than a year, she got married. You know, on the video that you had spoken about, when you shared your journey. And also because I'm a friend, I would have been privy, you know, you were just meeting him physically the first time, like a week before the wedding, but which would again sound crazy, but then again, may I get up and leave work where people think we did crazy long time. So, Lord, please don't make me. I know why you're crazy, love. I'm saying, you know, I'm tapped out and crazy right now, but you go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the pickings were slim. When the reached out to me and I started talking to him, as I said, there were other persons orbiting me, other persons who, were trying to, get to know me or whatever, but like something in his spirit just never sit right. Like something just never sit right about the other persons who I was talking to or entertaining. But when I started talking to Dee, as I said, nothing felt forced. Everything just flowed. We just seemed to have like mind. We had the same kind of corny jokes, the same kind of wordplay, the same love and passion for God, just a lot of similarities. I really felt peace about talking to him and just interacting with him. It really just felt like this was somebody who I knew from a long time, and the conversations. First of all, it was COVID, so all we could do was talk. We really could, well, to backtrack. So this was like December, January. We're talking. COVID broke out like March 2020, right? So his sister was supposed to be married the day after my birthday. So she was supposed to be married April 11th. And because of COVID, all sorts of COVID regulations and whatever, a lot of things were cancelled. And
including our trip, we were supposed to link up.
That's where I was going, yeah. So we're supposed to link up because he was supposed to come to his sister's wedding. And I was saying, all right, cool, that would have been good. 2 birds with 1 stone. Come for my birthday, come for your sister wedding, we'll meet. So we're supposed to meet that time, April 11th, roundabout, or he was supposed to come earlier, whatever. And that never worked out because Jamaica got on lockdown. So we had no choice but to date over the phone. Everything was over the phone. Video call, make use of video calls, make use of Zoom calls, like Netflix dates, like church service online. Just everything was being done online. And for me, that was a good thing because, like, if you remember me saying in the podcast that I was on the first time, like, I did love man. And like, for me, like, for God to restrict having the physical out of it, that was good for me because when you take the physical out of it, it helps you to sharpen just how much you really like the person, help you to sharpen your discernment. You're not clouded by, the physical things. So we had no choice but to do everything over the phone, to trust each other over the phone, to share secrets and everything the phone.
But then, I think it's important for us to put out there that, first of all, this is descriptive, not prescriptive. It's not, I would not advise anybody to do what we did.
Yeah.
But for us, because to us, to outsiders, it might just look like they met, they dated, and they got married. But no, it was very intentional. All of our conversations were very intentional from the get-go. It was like an interview. We took advantage of the curfew thing and lockdown and work from home.
Yeah.
So, we spent that time really getting to know each other. It felt like a crash course, like an accelerated course on getting to know each other. And our conversations were about the important stuff. Our conversations were like what you call it there? A marriage counseling session.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to the marriage counseling session, we could fly through the questionnaire, the 100-question questionnaire, fly through that quickly because these are the things that we talk about every day.
Yeah.
You understand? So, that's the next thing.
That's the thing that I liked about him. He was very intentional. I didn't have to wonder, never have to wonder where him dep on, So I knew what he wanted, where he wanted us to go. I didn't have to question. There was no confusion. There was no run around. No, it wasn't anything like that. Anything that I felt like I wasn't telling, like he knew everything. I'm gonna say everything. He knew everything about me. So I'm gonna say, well, God, if I dirt, because if this no work out, then I'm gonna file their road. You understand? But I felt peace because it was reciprocated as well. Whether or not he might tell me a lie, it did sound like the truth to me, But it wasn't like I felt like I was spilling my guts and he was offering some one answer thing or whatever. It was the same tit for tat kind of thing, So yeah, I really felt peace about moving forward. And of course, my consult God about it, spoke to my pastor, spoke to, my parents and, my daughter and all of that, the important people, so that they knew, so that they would be aware and so that I could, be able to make a more informed decision about where it was going.
All right. So, Mr. D, no, for you, because you mentioned, you weren't interested in a single mom plus a long distance relationship. I mean, how did you want to navigate divorce, because there's a divorce thing in the in where people are like, oh, you should remarry, but then also know, once you find out about this person and this person has similar just situation to what was your factor, how did you get that confidence to say, what, this is, I'm still going to continue?
So, all right. So, well, first of all, let me answer that last question. How I knew that I had to continue, because I still have hormones that are raging, producing millions of sperms cells daily. So something I have to do about that. Like, I have to make provisions for that. And if I was not a Christian, though, I tell you, the divorce situation was very painful. And if I was not a Christian, I would not have remarried. So take this from me. Be very careful about the decision you make and who you go there with, because divorce is no joke. It's very painful. So if I was not a Christian, I definitely wouldn't have remarried. Then as far as navigating divorce, or even knowing that I had to leave that situation, you see, at first I went into it and I had a very twisted religious perspective, and I felt like hardships and trials. I used to have this mantra where I said, marriage is not for happiness, it's for holiness. It's supposed to make you holy. If you get some happiness along the way, that is fine, but it's all about holiness. So if you're with the person and the person is trying you, it's going to make you sanctified. It's going to make you more Christ-like when you respond gracefully, when you turn the other cheek and all of that. But honestly, there's only so much that a human being can do. You know what actually catalyzed my decision to get the divorce was my profession as a nurse, because nursing is a very draining profession. It takes everything in you to be a nurse. And I had a draining career, and I also had a draining relationship. So I was being sucked dry from both ends, and I couldn't deal with it. So I had to sit down and think about it. And yet, the church has this big stigma against divorce. And of course, God doesn't like divorce. But you know what else God don't like? God don't like lying. God don't like thieving. God don't like bad mind. God don't like lustful thoughts and all of these things. And Christians struggle with all of these things. Christians deal with these things. You know what I say? So I'm like, at the end of the day, it's not works that will get me into the kingdom. It's God's grace. So if I am trusting God to show me grace for all of my other shortcomings that I deal with, then I have to trust God, say, oh, I'm go understand, and that there is going to be grace if I step out of this situation. Because I just had to for my mental health. So there's that. Then now to answer your question, as far as me writing off long distance relationships and single women, single mothers, it comes down to a matter of where your values lie. And for me personally, the things that Deidre brought to the table were things that I valued, so it made me look at her, because on paper, they look the same. It's a single mom, it's a long distance relationship, and they both were from Spanish Town. So it's like,
and the daughters
and the daughter single, yes, it's a daughter in both situations.
And the same age.
And the same age too. It was you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, on paper it looked the same, but I had to be careful, and I was like,
the counterfeit usually come before the real thing.
Right. There's that, because I was thinking to myself, like, what if I miss out on a good thing because, of something in the past that looked like this? Because, when I started going down the checklist and just looking at Deidre's life, she was nowhere close to what the other lady was. So I said, you know what, I can't just put blanket generalizations out there. I have to look at each person as an individual and deal with them accordingly, because she was different, and she was very advanced as far as her maturity and the things, her emotional maturity and her relationship savvy. She know her stuff. So I was saying to myself, even if it's just theory, even if it's just talk, the fact that she have the theory down, maybe we can work with that, because most of the women I was seeing and dealing with, like, them just never have no like relationship common sense. I say, like, certain things where so you're not acceptable, certain things you cannot do. The ability to be selfless, like a lot of women that I was dealing with, them just lack that. Them not understand. So when you're in a relationship, it's not about you anymore, much less marriage. You have to be able to put the other person above yourself. So I wasn't seeing any of these things, and I saw stuff that I valued in her. So that allowed me to take a closer look, and then once I did that, I really liked what I saw. So that's what gave me, it's my analytical mind, my ability to not just write off something because it looks like something that was bad before, So yeah, that's what made me take a closer look.
All right. So tell us about the wedding. Come on, DJ. Every woman lives for the wedding day experience, right? So tell us about planning a wedding long distance. Also, we saw, Mr. Burrell did the surprise engagement and the music video, and we were able to be privy to this info, all of this on social media. So I mean, both of you tell us, at what point did you decide that, okay, we're going to get married, despite how, probably not spending 5-10 years, tell us about that, leading up to the wedding.
Man, as soon as we already decided to ourselves, so as soon as them open the gates,
or just my COVID breeze off for about 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
So because remember, as we said, Jamaica was on lockdown, and so during this time, we were talking and whatever over the phone, and just in the conversation, we just knew that this is where it was headed. So we just started the wedding planning. All of this obviously by faith, because as you said, we didn't see each other in person until the week of the wedding. So here I am planning a wedding. Don't know if the man shorter than me. Don't know if I'm gonna put on my heels if I got taller than him. Don't know anything. Don't know if I'm gonna catfish me. Don't know anything at all. You understand? And
you must know. We that talk on video every day.
Hey, who knows? But so we're doing all of this over the phone by faith. And so with my wedding dress, so I used to model bridal dresses for House of Clay. And when Keisha knew that I was getting married, Keisha said, "Come in, Deidre, you've been modeling for us for so long. I'm ready to do a dress. Just tell me when, whatever." So we did the consultation for the design of the dress, and we wanted to source the fabric. So the day when we wanted to go and source the fabric, well, first of all, so her distributor wasn't available. Like, she couldn't get in contact with him at all, and so she had to source the fabric locally. But she said that in her searching, she wasn't able to fabric wanted. And it just so happened that the day when I was going on the road with her, I wore this Trust God shirt, and when we went to probably like the third store, the last rack, there was a rack that had on the last yard or whatever amount of yards of fabric on there, and it was just enough to make the dress. So like just before we had gone to that store, the other store that we had gone to, like they had this white fabric that was similar to what I wanted, but it wasn't it. And when we went to the other store, there was the last bit of fabric on there, and I was able to get the fabric to make the dress. Keisha made that dress probably in about 2-3 weeks, because we were just watching and waiting to see when Jamaica would open up back, so that I'd be able to, buy the ticket to, so that we could go and have the wedding. And so I got that dress probably like, I was supposed to leave like the Monday, I got the dress the Saturday. So I got that dress in the nick of time, right? And so wedding planning was done over Zoom, or over Zoom. Everything was done over Zoom or over WhatsApp. And so we met the day. The Monday. The Monday. So came, and when I came out to the airport, so I had said to him, this is our first time meeting, maybe you should come and, just have your phone out so that you can record it, just for memories or whatever. But of course, Mr. Extravagant over here, he got his videographer, and they were doing a whole thing, like he planned it all out with his photographer / videographer, big up Trey, TD Imaging. And Trey was out there waiting with his video camera when I came out. I never see all of this until afterwards. So I was there texting D, okay, I'm outside, I'm waiting, whatever. Then him come up behind me and he's like, hey. So of course I turn on and I see him. And when I see him and I hug him, I start shake. I said, oh, I'm real. I feel nice. And I'm just here, I'm happy. I said, Lord God, the man real. And I turn on and I'm like, okay, there's a video camera in my face. So of course, it was just really exciting. It was really fun, really surprising.
And then so what I did was I told her that, okay, I'm doing a music video for a song and I wanted her to be in it. But what she didn't know was that I was going to propose to her.
Yeah, the official proposal, because everything was
very informal.
Yeah, before. But him no, because he's a little trickster, as he said earlier. So before I left the Monday, probably like the Wednesday or so, he was like, babes, I lost the ring. I can't find your ring, but I'm going to order it again. I'm going to express it. So it should get here by about Saturday. So you don't need to worry and whatever. So of course I'm there freaking out because I said, Lord God, that's an extra money I got to spend and, just a bunch of things. But that was his ploy because, he wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't want her to suspect that I was going to propose. So that's why I had to do that whole thing about the ring loss and all of that and thing. So she really never see it coming. So like, if you watch the video, you might think, she's acting. No, she really didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, because he told me to stand by the water fountain and just look. So I'm there standing up like an idiot, just looking out there at the water fountain. And him said, don't turn on until I come and, tap you on my top you on your shoulder. Yeah. So I'm there and do a little run through and whatever. And I'm there, standing, looking at the water fountain, and then I just hear Deidre, I'm gonna turn on and I'm gonna say, man pan me with a ring in her hand, nearly chuck off in the water fountain. But yeah, it was really surprising. Like he was full of surprises that whole week, all good surprises. He did a song for me, 2 songs, I think. Like I say, yeah, girl, feel nice.
Listen.
Then for the wedding, my some of my family members were there. My dad had said that he wasn't going to be able to come again. He ended up coming last minute because it was my brother that said that he was going to end up walking me down the aisle. But every father dream of walking them daughter down the aisle. And I just kind of made peace with the fact that, all right, COVID, no, everything not going to go perfectly. So I just work with it, I said, can always do a vow renewal whenever, just get the wedding out of the way and call it a day, And my dad surprised me and him show up. So cue the cow balling and the eye water. It's all there on camera. Never cute. And the wedding went and it rained. So, I didn't get all of the fancy pictures that, of course, me envision because, my picture tete didn't get all of those. But, at the end of the day, we still got some beautiful shots and it was just a beautiful day. So, that's how the whole thing.
How the wedding
went. Yeah, and it wasn't too difficult because as you said, COVID. So there were a lot of things that we could have eliminated.
Crowd and then one thing about this entire relationship, based on my past, I said to her, you know what, we're not gonna fight anything. We're not forcing anything. So if something not working out, not fighting it. And if something working out, we're not gonna fight it. And if something not working out, we're not gonna force it. So even with sometimes, you pray and you don't get a no, but you don't get you're 100% sure, So we just ask God for block stuff where you're supposed to block.
Mm-hmm.
What I say, and we just say, yo, we're not gonna force make everything happen organically as it's supposed to. And let me tell you, the amount of stuff for God work out, like even things that we weren't thinking about. Because like the first time I had gotten married in Jamaica, and we didn't need a marriage license. Never know, say in Florida we needed one, and everything does work out. Like it does work out the application for the marriage license, and when it turned on, everything just work out that we get it like 2 days before, and everything just fall into place with her getting the dress last minute, even though it looked like, say, they weren't going to find the material, and she gets, I was saying, okay, all right, fine. When I finally find the material, is Keisha going to be finished on time? Keisha finished the Saturday before she's supposed to travel the Monday, so everything was just falling into place. Even as far as getting her daughter's blessing, we were very nervous. We never know how that was going to work out. And then, I had the conversation with her. We told her what was going to happen. She's like, finally.
Yes, sir.
Amira was praying for me to have a husband from when, she was praying that I have a husband and that, she have a father. And, her father is still in the picture, but, just in terms of like a blended family and having like a physical father presence. And that kind of thing. And like homegirl prayers come true with Brata, So I forgot make sure pray for your Crystal.
Listen, I'm convinced Crystal for pray for me too, because she's like, hey, if you're married, you don't marry, who cares? My girl, no, But yes, all right. So I want to ask you guys some specific questions. Just like advice. These are more tips or advice questions. Because I feel like you have shared a lot around your own story. As an inspiration. One of the things I loved about what you said earlier is that both, and I think it is your video, you spoke about just both of you being risk takers, right? Both of you being faith walkers. So for some people listening, they're like, I need to have everything dotted kind of thing. For example, if the dress wasn't coming together, is like, oh my God, probably this is a sign, everything is a sign, but because you both are, as the word says, walking by faith, your approach was different. So I just want you to kind of share some tips regarding some specific things. So the first one is tips for a long distance relationship. Because again, a lot of persons are probably doing online dating or, persons hoping or, a lot of sliding DMs are happening these days through social media. So any tips for a long distance relationship?
Don't do it. I'm just kidding. No, funny enough, I really am still opposed to long distance relationships. some of my close friends are like, dude, what the heck? Because you said you, and I'm like, I know. So I said it before, like our story right now is descriptive in some ways and not prescriptive because there's so many things that would have to be in place for it to work out, right? Because like you would have to both be risk takers. You know what I'm saying? I am that way naturally, and she's that way. One of my close friends, like she was saying, I would have to know him for 10 years before I marry him. 10 years minimum. So it depends on the individuals because if one is a risk taker and the other isn't, it's going to be a struggle to get you guys both on the same page as far as getting married. But I say though, as far as advice, if you must do a long distance relationship, you guys have to be intentional about what you're doing. Know what the end result you're looking for is, and only do things that will lead to that. You understand? So, like I said, we were thinking about marriage. So as soon as we started talking, it was like those questions. We just go right for the jugular.
Very
Okay,
pointed and
what is it that you're struggling with? What are your secret sins? And it's like and obviously we never just come out like that. We had already built a rapport. We had what we would call our safe environment. So it's like we were very open with each other, very vulnerable. Deidre was already that way in her posts and our vlogs and her blogs, and I am very transparent in my music. So again, we were already that way. So it was very easy for us to come together and have these very uncomfortable conversations without judging each other and feeling safe. I shared some things with her that I never shared with even my closest friends. And, being able to open up to her about those things and have her not judge me made me it bonded us closer. Like I immediately felt closer to her based on that. So again, just be intentional about what you're doing. You look at date nights and whatever. We used to pull up our laptops together and would I watch movies or would I watch sermons. We did all of that together. We prayed together at nights, with an alternate. So I pray tonight, you pray tomorrow, and we even exercised together. I was training her.
That's all the what left fabric could have fit me. Because if it was before, would I need piece more?
Yeah, so we're just very intentional, and it's just about like the stuff that is important to you. Make sure that the other person is aware of it. Make sure that you guys are both on the same page and you guys are okay with those things going forward. In fact, like as far as how transparent our conversations were, I told her straight up what issues she was going to have with me. I'm like, these are the problems you're going to have with me when you get married, because I believe in people putting in the work to develop themselves, to develop yourself to be somebody that is worthy. I mean, we're all worthy of love, but worthy of somebody wanting to be with you. So I've put in the work in my personal life where I am confident in who I am. And because of that, I'm able to confidently tell somebody like, okay, these are my flaws, because I know that the good outweigh the bad. So I don't have any problem telling you what my issues are and what issues you're going to have with me when we get married. So I told her all those things straight up, and I knew I was telling her the truth. So I had a thing I was always saying to her, if you are who you really say you are, then I think we'll be fine, because that was the whole point. We were just like really trying to trust that the other person is telling the truth, and just seeing if there's any red flags, if there's any
inconsistencies
and unsettling in your heart, within yourself. If you feel uncomfortable about it, you don't make any moves. If anything, I'm not, don't make any moves. So like, don't move forward and don't necessarily break up with the person, but just stay still
or
until
pack up your entire life and move to wherever they are, just because, like.
No, but no, very important. What I'm trying to say here is, if you see a red flag with somebody, especially in a long distance relationship, just be still. So I'm saying, don't move forward as far as ignore it and keep going. And also, don't necessarily break up with the person, because it might not be what it looks like, but at least stay still until you get some clarity in what it is that made you uncomfortable, so that you can move forward based off of an educated decision and not just off of your feelings. This thing cannot be a feelings thing. You understand? You have to love with your heart and your head. And it's just like what the Bible says, love the heart with your heart, your soul, and your mind. So it's a mind thing. There has to be some knowledge and intellect behind it. You have to be able for it have to make sense. Mm-hmm. So it can't just be you feel good about the person, you love the person. It have to make sense. How not gonna live, how not gonna eat. Like all of these things are the person can you guys support each other? Like all of these things have to come into, you have to have all these conversations, because if you don't have them up front, there will be problems later. And I've said them up full.
Yes.
No, we appreciate. Listen, we love when the men talk. But you said something that I wanted a little bit more clarity on. You mentioned in the when you were very upfront, to have the hard conversation in the initial stage. But sometimes it's almost like, you must not, like how soon you feel like people should be having these, very hard conversation. Is there a time where, for example, a woman can spill out too much too soon, or, at what point do you feel like, is that comfortable for us to just really be real and talk, the realest?
So I think you should always be real with each other, but as far as divulging certain things that might make you uncomfortable, I wouldn't put a specific time on it. You get to a point in your relationship where you feel comfortable. You feel like I can say this. I think I can say this. And you say something, and then you see how they respond to it, and then that might give you the courage to say something that you're more sensitive or more conscious about. So you have to know that in yourself. I can't give you time, but with you walking with this person, after a while, you're supposed to know, I feel comfortable saying this to them,
Okay. All right. When we hear a lot about marriage, one of the things we hear a lot is that money is one of the biggest issues. As a new couple, less than 1 year of marriage and stuff, any advice on how to manage the money conversation, but also just overall your thoughts on whole finances, and also each having a background in finance, working in the banking industry for so long? Any suggestions?
Well, so general, the rule is men are supposed to be providers, and whatever, providers and protectors. Protector, provider, priest. That's what God called men to be, especially Christian men. So you have to be able to protect your woman physically. You have to be able to provide for her. And as a priest, you're supposed to be able to teach and show her things. So I feel like a man is not really complete until he can offer some of these things. You have to be able to have something to offer mentally to her. You can guide her. So that means that you know where you're going in your life. You understand? These things have to start out first. You have to be able to provide. And I know that there are exceptions to the rules. There might be dynamics where the woman is a really high earner and she don't really need the man to work, So, but for the most part, it's a situation where the woman is looking to the man to provide. So I think men should get that together. And it's important, because if these things are not taken care of, if they're not in place, then when you get married, it will become a problem. So I feel like one of the most important things that we're not doing is making sure that we're ready. Making sure that you're ready before you get into these things. Again, you have to be able to live together. Because when a man is not able to provide, it doesn't matter how much the woman love him. After a while, the respect start to dwindle away, and men receive love through the currency of respect. So once the respect is gone, we don't feel loved anymore, and then that's a world of trouble there. You understand? So I think it would behoove men to make sure, and I'm not saying you have to be balling. You don't have to be balling. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be at least be able to take care of yourself. And then you meet a woman and you guys live within your means. You understand? Don't try to keep up with what everybody else is doing, So.
And I think, even in the era of joint finances, like us getting married, those are some of the things that we spoke about even before we got married.
Yep.
Even, like during counseling, stuff like that, like the things that matter. So, you determine with the person, like, are we going to have joint accounts? So we're going to split the money. Is it going to be your account, my account, a joint account? Is it going to just be your account or my account? Like the dynamics, like how is it that we plan to allocate the money? How is it that we plan to save or to build together? There has to be some factor of trust as well, because if I feel like, say, I can't trust you with the money because you're going to blow it, then I'm going to be more inclined to hold on some. You know what I mean? Like how some Jamaican women are taught to make sure, say, you have a little money stashed for yourself in case something happen in the relationship, But for me, I have to, in our relationship, there is that level of trust. So it's not these money, so it's not because he's working, it's his money. So yes, his money on paper, but because we're married,
I don't even, exactly. I don't see it that way. If you're married, it's our money, because it's no longer me, it's no longer Deidre. We are one now. So my money is her money is mine. You understand? That's how I look at it. But at the same time, I don't see anything wrong with her having her own little account besides the joint account. I don't see anything wrong with, if you have our little play money over there, nothing wrong with that.
Yes, so it's important to establish, how it is that you plan to
do your thing,
from before, so that you can see if you guys have two different mindsets or two different things. Like, what do you spend money on mostly?
What's your value?
What are your vices? What can I expect to see coming in or going out of the account, or whatever the case is. So, determine if one person is more of a spendthrift or if one person more frugal or whatever, So those kinds of things are important. And, if those, and ensure that like those things are discussed in counseling and, don't just gloss over it.
Mr. Burrell, what advice would you give Christian men trying to navigate the dating pool? And as you answer that question, for example, one of the things that is becoming a little bit popular is men seemingly not being very intentional, especially Christian men, not being intentional about their pursuit. So it's almost like they are trying to get to know you, but they are not committing. And sometimes, Deidre, you can't talk to me. You can't really, right?
Yeah, man. I can understand, but
because it's almost like they don't want to commit, but they want to still hold on to you, or and we get into this space as women, as we're confused. Like, okay, am I with him, and am I supposed to even have the conversation with him? So.
But you said a key thing right there. You're confused, and God is not the author of confusion. And once you're in a relationship where there's confusion, that's your red flag right there. Something is wrong. Let me tell you something. Let me clarify something for you. Men are competitive by nature. We're go-getters. When we see what we want, we go after it. So if a man is with you and he's going back and forth, that is your answer. If a man doesn't make you feel like yes, he wants me, it's a no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you feel if he is unsure, like I remember there was this situation where he was like, I'm really not sure. I really don't know if I want to be with you. Like, you know, like he was saying, like 1 minute him feel like he want to be with me, and then the next minute I might do something or say something and make him kind of question whether or not. So he was coming with a whole heap of confusion. But what girl did this them time? This a girl go and work with it, you know. But yeah, men know what they want, and if them a flip flop and them a go around, most often than not, them.
Listen, if it's
yeah,
not a,
you are not who they want.
If it's not a yes, it's a no.
Ooh. So you're saying, if he's not having probably you're talking to, getting to know the person within a few months, and they have not indicated that, hey, we want to take this to the next level.
I mean, I don't know.
And then some men slow too. Some men drag them feet.
So yeah. So the thing is, but then again, if the guy is slow enough, you will know. You will know that sometimes you have to, like, bring it to his attention. You will know that if he's that type of person.
So is it okay to, in your opinion, to ask to say, hey, what is this? Are we a couple, or should we wait? Because sometimes, we have gotten the advice that, allow that man to lead that conversation, right? No, we hear that, allow him to lead.
I disagree. You have to be an advocate for yourself as a woman, and women, men in general. You have to have clarity on the situation that you're in. So don't assume, say, okay, we're hanging out, we're going on dates, we're spending time together, so I think we're there. No. If the guy has not made a move and say, yo, hey, I want us to be an official couple, ask him if you are wondering. There's a reason why you're wondering. It's because subconsciously you know that you guys are doing relationship stuff, and not necessarily bad things, but you guys are hanging out, you guys are spending time together. You need clarity. You understand? Are we exclusive, or am I allowed to see other people? There's other guys might be in her DMs. You don't want her to cut these guys off, and then you're not really serious. So as a woman, you have to be an advocate for yourself. So no, don't just sit around and wait for the guy. I'm not saying that you should pursue the guy. I'm just saying, ask for clarity. Say, hey, what is this? What are we doing here? There is nothing wrong with that at all.
All right. So we should go back to the question. What advice would you give single Christian men in this season? Because there are single Christian men that are, probably saying similar like you. I don't know, I don't see anybody yet, or probably there's somebody, but I'm not sure about her, or probably them just have a lot of choices and they just don't know who to choose. So any advice?
Well, all right. So as a man, first of all, I'm going to address the thing that you said about Christian men not being intentional. I that's weird, because, like, for me, if I entertain a woman, it's because the end goal is marriage. If I don't see her as someone I can potentially marry, it's a waste of time. I don't even go there. You feel me? So I don't think men should be entertaining women that they have no intentions of marrying. And then once you're entertaining this woman, you're pretty much, it's like an interview. You're observing her, you're seeing what she's like. You know what I'm saying? Does this woman bear the image of Christ? Does this woman look like somebody I would want to have my child? You should be thinking about these things. And if it's not, then separate yourself. Don't waste your time. Your time is valuable. Again, your time should be spent on your purpose, whatever it is that God has placed in you that you have to contribute to the world. No one else can do it like you. And any time spent not doing it, the world is missing out on that thing. So even if you're the type that you have a lot of options around you and you don't know which one, then just focus on what you're supposed to be doing. It's like, I have a friend, she said to me, what's a good way to find who your significant other is, or a life partner or a close friend is going to be? Just run your race, run your Christian race. Every once in a while, you look up and look around and see who's around, who's running with you. Then you dip your head, you go back to running, and you keep running. And then every once in a while, you look up again and look around and see who's left. Okay, some of them fall off, but they're okay. You understand? So if there's a guy and he has a lot of options, don't fall into the trap of trying to be a gallus or a little pimp and have a bunch of girls. You don't want to be the temple pimp. That's not a good reputation. You know what I mean? Just focus on your thing. Focus on your purpose. Just keep doing that. And after a while, it will become evident. You know, it's like that analogy. You'll eventually look up and you're like, wow, I've been heading in this direction for a long time and I keep seeing that person. And then you can get curious about, okay, who are you and why are you in my orbit? Why am I keep seeing you? You know? But outside of that, men, take the time to build yourself, because I promise you to be a husband, it requires you to be a man. How do I say this nicely? Women are complicated. Men are simple. We're very simple creatures. Very simple. But women are complicated. And to be able to navigate and deal with all of the nuances, my wife is looking at me right now. She's giving me the evil eye. But in order to be able to navigate and deal with a woman, it takes wisdom. You have to know that sometimes when she's upset and she's upset about the garbage, it's not the garbage she's upset about you taking out the garbage. It's something else, and you have to know how to not get caught up in arguing about the garbage when it's something else that is bothering her. You understand? You have to have that wisdom to look through her and see that something is wrong when she's like, no, I'm okay. You understand? And then you also have to know how to see a woman screaming at you and she getting mad and whatever. And instead of getting in your feelings, you go up to her and you just hold her. You understand?
Must be nice.
You know, so there's like levels that you have to transcend to, because like, you know, you don't want to just be a basic man, because I said women are complicated. You know, sometimes a woman is getting angry and she in her attitude and whatever, you hold her and she just melt. You know, but you cannot just be a basic guy just there going back and forth arguing with her. Don't argue with the woman. You understand? If the love is there, man, just hold her and just, baby. Yes, baby. It's all right. It's all right. You understand? You're going to be surprised how quickly things change. So I think it's important for men, especially if you're a Christian and you understand the dynamics that you're supposed to lead. They don't give leadership position to anybody. So make sure that you're somebody who's worthy of the position of leading. And I tell you, if men start stepping up and being men and doing what you're supposed to do, you don't even have to work. You don't even have to have that age-old conversation about submission. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and that woman looks up to you and she respects you, she falls into place. You don't have to fight with her. Why are you not submitting to me? You understand? When you're doing what you're supposed to do, the respect will follow. So I think men should work on becoming the best version of themselves, making sure that they're high value and high integrity men of God. I don't think it's high integrity at all to be entertaining women that you have no interest of going anywhere with. That is not high integrity at all. You have to bear in mind that this is a child of God. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to answer to God about how you dealt with his children. Oof. You understand? So if you are a temple pimp and you're just running around dating all of these women, you have to, and you're a Christian and you really truly believe, so you're going to have to answer to God one day. Think about that too. You're going to have to, like if you're, most of these men, some men have daughters and they're, yo, man, get a gun, because, my daughter reach up in her age and think them very protective over them girls, but them don't think that God is protective over his children, his daughters. So yeah, you have to be aware of how you're treating women, because you're going to have to answer to God about it one day.
Yeah.
So just as I say, man up, focus on becoming the best version of yourself, become high value, high integrity. When I say high value, make sure you're valuable to your society. You're not just valuable to your family, you're valuable to your community. Find ways to grow. You know what I say? It not have to be nothing where you make a bag of money. You can be a youth pastor. You're valuable to that community, So work on your purpose, become high integrity, be a high value man, level up as much as you can so that when you get a woman, when you get that
work
good
on
thing.
yourself physically too, because some of them Christian man here within a church just feel like say they must carry themselves in any way, and because the woman them desperate, they must just settle for. So they should also work on their physical appearance. Just putting that out there.
Very important, very important. I agree.
All right, Deidre. So now you're on the other side. Listen, last year, this time, Tashna alone was on the call, but now, so we have you here. So, tell us, now that you are on the other side, what would you go back to say to yourself a year ago? But also talk to us. I mean, talk to me, what are some of the things you're saying to us regarding, dating, probably entertaining a non-Christian man or, so just the single woman. So before I want you to say something as a single Christian, single mother, but not yet. I want you to focus just on a single woman, Christian woman perspective first.
Yeah, so I mean, just keep working at whatever it is that you know that you're supposed to do. Volunteer where you can, keep in God's word. As I said, all of them sound cliche, all of them sound like my girl can go and say whatever you are say. You married, that is where I want to be. But it's so easy to become obsessed with marriage and wanting to be in a relationship. I remember at one point it was almost so possessive. It was something that really consumed me. As I said, I'd be in church and I look through the door, I wonder, when I come in, I'd be at the airport and I wonder if I go meet him there. Like everywhere I go, I wonder if this is where it is going to be, if this is where I'm going to meet, But it's work on not focusing so much on it. So, I mean, it's fine to have the desire, but don't make it consume you. Work on other things that can distract you and take up your time, and healthy ways of building up yourself, whether your finances, whether your family life, whatever it is, just work on you, work on building communication skills, the things that you desire in your partner or the things that you aspire to be as a wife. You work on those things. Like before I got married, I felt like I needed to kind of research how to be a wife, how to be a good and godly wife, So as a little intentional in doing those things, it never made any sense because I never have no prospects. But I say, why am I going to wait until I get the husband and then do the course? You do the course, and then when the husband come, then that's the test, Still did a flop in terms of the test them, but at least I still, I was intentional about doing those things. So yeah, work on the things that can add value to your relationship when you get there, instead of waiting until you get in the relationship before you start, looking to work on them.
All right, and then one tip you'd say for single moms.
Single moms are single Christian moms.
Yeah, single Christian moms.
Yeah, so whether single moms or single Christian moms, it's difficult because I mean, we know we want to share the quote unquote burden and responsibility of the child, even if the father is not in the picture, or even if he's in the picture, like the physical presence, there are some things that will still be lacking even if the father is in the child's life, so it's easy to it would behoove you to not settle, because this child is going to be around this person for a long time. Yep. This child is going to look up to whomever you marry. This child is the other person who you bring in is going to influence that child in some way, shape, or form.
So I'm sorry, I just got a really deep thing from what you said. So basically, don't marry a good husband and a bad father. If he's a bad father, no matter how good of a husband he seems to be, if he's going to be a bad father, don't protect your child.
Yeah, so it's important to observe the person who may have an interest in you, or you have an interest in them. See what kind of dynamic they have with your child or your children. If your children or your child feels uncomfortable around them, or because children discerning, so sometimes it's out of fear too, because them don't want to lose it to the person, but just kind of have that rapport with them if they're at the age where you can talk to them, kind of, feel out how they feel about the person that you're interested in. Kind of wait before you introduce them to the person as well. You have to kind of see where it is going first before you introduce them to 6 months in the space of a month. You know what I mean? So just be intentional about who you're bringing around your child. A lot of pedophiles out there, a lot of, abusers is a word, whatever, abusive people, so it's important to know who you're bringing your child around and not do anything out of desperation, because it will have long effects.
Long-term effects.
Yeah, so just be cognizant. I mean, I know there are some women who may feel like, boy, it's sticky for me because I have 3-4 picnic and 3 different men, and nobody now go on and take me up. But I tell you, God know how to restore and restore the lost years and restore any mistake and whatever way make. You never know. You know what I mean? There might be a man who would have wanted children or whatever in his life, and you come pre-packaged with ready-made children, and he's able to love them as his own.
I mean, what boil down to is, don't try to figure out, oh, God, I go work where my work. If that is God's will, it will make it happen.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that's my advice to whether single women or single Christian women, but just be and whoever you're talking to, just feel them out in terms of their thought process on being around children that are not their own, having children of their own, just that kind of thing, so that you can kind of sway them upon, because you don't want to commit to anything and then you realize, say, boy, you're still raising that child on your own, even though you have a man in the house.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That is important.
Yeah. All right. So we are closing. But just before, as we close off this couple up, any final word from each of you, anything you feel led on your heart to share with persons that are listening, and also tell us what's next. We know that you guys have been doing lives, a lot of interviews, and you have your Instagram page, that's growing. So also, Mr. Burrell is a gospel artist, so his music is going out there. He's always putting out new music. So just tell us the last word you feel led on your heart to share, and then tell us what's next for you guys.
All right, so definitely go check out the page, O to the R, like O2 number 2 DR. That's me on Instagram. I write a lot of music, so I alternate between putting out a hardcore gospel album, and then I'll put out a relationships album. So we just put out the gospel album. I have look relationships thing, do my look love song them or whatever. My wife realized that the ladies respond very well to it. So fellas, get into the music so you can share it with your girl. She might like you more. Besides that, though, as far as advice, kind of just to piggyback off something Deidre said earlier, I think it's very important that while you're in that season where you're waiting for God to do something, be careful that you don't give in to the counterfeits. Be careful that you don't settle, that you don't go and scratch the itch so to speak, and get a little pleasure out of the way, because I've been there and I can tell you that looking back, it wasn't worth it at all. And it's even better if you can just trust God, and then when He does come through for you, it's a better feeling, it's a better experience, and you love God more for it. That is my 2 cents.
Yeah. And then for me,
so I would the lives too. Sorry. When you can.
So, all right. Well, first, follow our Instagram page. It is 2 as in the number 2, DEES in a pod _cast. So that's 2 Ds in a podcast. So that's our joint Instagram page. You can follow us there. We'll do lives and stuff like that. We'll share about us on there. In terms of my advice, I mean, I got married at 34. It might sound young to some people, but for me, it was a while, because, in life, you kind of think, say, you're going to get married and have children and whatever by a certain age. Yeah, at 25, shoot. At 25, I was with child and unmarried, so I did it backwards. But, just to say that I went through a series of situationships, a series of failed relationships, some long-term ones that didn't work out. I went through the confusion. I went through everything. So, being on the other side, as Crystal say, yeah, it is good, but it's also a different season. I'm still navigating, having a blended family, having husband for cook breakfast and dinner for, and that kind of thing. I have to be changing my mindset in terms of single parenting and doing everything by myself and allowing somebody else to lead the relationship. So my advice is, it may seem like the wait is long, getting married at 34 or however old you might be. It might seem like a long time, but when you actually get married to somebody that you're attracted to, somebody who has a zeal and a zest for God, somebody who partners with you in a myriad of ways, help you with parenting and that kind of thing, somebody who you have peace with, somebody who you can crack joke with, somebody who is your friend, somebody who it make you say, John, I'm glad I did wait, move. It makes you happy that you waited. So yeah, it might seem like a long time, but maybe it took longer because of my own decisions or these own decisions, so maybe we ended up lengthening the time that we could have met, but God still have a way for work out everything, for His good and for His
take long because you make a customized order, you think custom built, you not get the regular man.
Regular schmegala.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, but God is good and God is faithful. So just go on, trust God. As I say, everything we make say go sound cliche, but the Bible never lie. The Bible don't lie.
Yes.
The Bible don't lie. And it's easy to give up and just get frustrated and just say, I can't bother with this, But as I said before, usually the counterfeits come before the real thing, So I'm going to throw a bag of counterfeits. But, the real God man show up and
bless God.
Nice, King God man, right? Hallelujah. So again, we want to thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation, just a timely reminder for as God faithfulness. And that's what I love. I love with social media that we have a love-hate relationship with social media because there is like, my God, everybody's getting married. Where's my time? But also because, I'm friends with Deidre and we would have had many conversations regarding men and, marriage and single motherhood. And you're like, and to see the faithfulness of God. I think that's it, like to see the faithfulness of God coming through for her, has been a blessing for me, but also to see that there is still men of integrity, when you're not looking, when you're not like expecting, God will, just show up as He promised in His word that He would show up. So, Mr. Burrell, again, go ahead.
Just one last thing. Like I remember for me, like when it came on to like Valentine's Day or whatever, I don't know if I was in a place where me that bad mind the people them, but I did what I had to do, and I came off of social media. So like just before Valentine's Day and long after, I just make it breeze out, because I knew what my triggers were. I knew the things that I desired and I couldn't deal with it. So if that is a trigger for you, if Mother's Day is a trigger for you because you desire children and you don't want to see the Mother's Day post, or you don't want to see the Valentine's Day post, you come off of social media. Do what is good for your mental health. Do what is good for to make you feel discontent, and just go to God about it. Say, hey, God, these are my desires. I can't deal with it right now. Social media, try make me do things in terms of going out of your will. And I don't want to wait right now. But you just be honest with God, because at the end of the day, God don't know how you feel. So just go to him and be honest about how you feel. And, just do the practical things that are important to ensure, say, go and wait on him and go and trust him.
Yeah, which also come to the point that the says, spend that time getting to know me. Spend that time getting to know yourself, getting to know. So when somebody like you literally can say, hey, this is the problem you really have with me, because the truth is, many of us have no clue, how toxic we are to ourselves, much less to somebody else, so I love that point. I think that's a big takeaway for me, also, just ensuring that we're spending time getting to know ourselves. So thank you guys again. I'll be definitely continue checking out your lives, because I've watched, a few of them, and looking out for music. And again, it's just a pleasure to, just watch God's faithfulness through your lives and, restoration. So thank you both again. So this is the Couple Up with the Burrells. God bless you. See you guys next week on the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast.
Diary of a Jesus Girl. Jesus Girl. Hey, it's the Diary of a Jesus Girl.